Hello viewers and welcome. So we are racing GT4 cars on Dragon Trial Mountain Circuit. Isn't my best circuit, but we'll see how it goes. So starting in P1, you realize I have lost my rank quite a bunch actually, and I'm struggling to get back to my rank due to this race not being my best race, because I'm not really good at this track, I'll be honest. Usually my qualifying lap times are way better, I'm in the top 1500, but on this track I'm in top maybe 4000 or 3000. And now it's lights out and away we go. Looking behind at the French driver, noticing a bit of a gap, I know that I won't have to defend through the turn 1. So this gives me a bit of peace of mind going through the first couple of corners, knowing that the driver behind is not going to be able to push very hard, or not going to be able to push an overtake on me super hard. So it helps me keep my composure a little bit, because I've done many races, and in many of those races I have spun out on this track, because I have been having a lot of trouble, and a lot of trouble on this track. Especially with turn 4 and turn 8 on this track, I've been having a bit of trouble. I've been having a bunch of trouble spinning out many occasions and visiting the Shadram. And now the Ferrari of the French driver pulling up next to me, trying to overtake onto turn 5, which is quite an interesting corner because it's a chicane and you can use many different lines and have an amazing exit, but out of all the lines I chose the worst one there, so I lose the position to the French driver up ahead. So now I'm the chasing car, and now I gotta keep the pressure up, and I gotta either push him into a mistake or overtake him onto the many overtaking opportunities that I will be facing. And this track is not only full of overtakes, it's also full of shadow run possibilities, because you can see how hard I'm pushing, and since it's a sprint race, 99% of the race is actual pushing and pretty much tripping balls for 90-80% of the race, which it takes a mental toll, especially knowing that there is no pit stops, no strategy involved. So you don't have to worry about tires, but you will have to worry about constant pressure from other drivers, which again it means one mistake and you're out, which in longer races you don't have to worry as much. And now I'm doing that overtake, pulling nicely to the inside and getting an amazing exit to the corner. And now you can see the Ferrari pulls up to the outside, which does seem to have better top speed, which is not very Ferrari-like, so I don't know if they updated the car, buffed it, or I just got a really horrible exit, which I doubt I did. And now I'm the chasing car once again into turn 1, starting lap 2. You can see I'm gaining bit by bit on turn 1. This is where this is many of the McLaren's strong points, because the McLaren, despite not being the fastest car on the straights, has a lot of stability and a lot of amazing cornering ability on especially this corner, this track. And especially that set of corners, that's especially where the McLaren shines. Other than that, the Ferrari is a pretty solid car and seems to be quite fast for this driver. And you can see me chasing and getting very close. You can see just how strong the top speed on the Ferrari is, which isn't usual. Again, the Ferrari is usually one of the slower cars when it comes to top speed, but seems like in this specific race, or in this specific, it seems like it has been the winner when it comes to top speed, or maybe this driver is just that good. Anyway, I pulled the overtake, nicely done, into turn 5 or 6. And now I'm the lead car once again, but he's very close behind and he's ready to lunge at me pretty much every opportunity possible. So I'm looking to extend the gap as much as possible. So it's either I slow him down and he fights with people behind, or I extend the gap to secure the win. Anyway, skipping to lap 3. Very smooth transition if you ask me, I quite like it. On the same set of corners, you can see the Ferrari is not being shaken off easily, which is a bit worrying, because he's just gonna keep putting the pressure on me and eventually it's gonna take its toll on me. And you can see the Ferrari is just getting really close on the final chicane, which he could very easily overtake on, and you can see he's a little late on the brakes, which allows me to keep the position for a little longer, but it's only gonna be a matter of time, because he's back at it again through turn 1 and the chicane and the multiple corner sector. I don't know what to call it. Is it a cup? It's more than it's not a chicane. Anyway, he pulls up alongside me, and I can see as we start the next lap, we're pretty much neck and neck, side to side, going through turn 1. I keep the inside, and he's gonna have to tuck back, but I made a single tiny mistake, which allows me to take the inside of the next corners and take the acceleration path, which I did not take, because I made that tiny mistake that sent me a little wide. So now you can see on the multiple chicane sector, I have no idea what you call this. We're fighting pretty much neck and neck. It's very close, but it seems like he comes out of this the winner. And now starting sector 2, he's getting away bit by bit. I'm not looking to give up my win, so I'm trying to chase him as hard as possible. Especially after leading the race for so long, you do not want to give up your race this fast. And now braking a bit early, making a tiny mistake, going for an early apex, which ends up in me having a very bad exit. Ends up in pretty much me losing the race. The combination of both this mistake and the mistake on turn 1 is what I believe have lost me the race. Because you can see he's got away, he's built a gap of maybe 0.7 seconds, 0.5 seconds, which is very, very hard to close down pretty much by the final sector of the lap, which I did manage to close a bit of it. But again, this is where the McLaren shines, this is where the McLaren is really, really fast, but again, it's not fast enough for an overtake. So pretty much I'm gonna have to watch the win being taken away from me in front of my very own eyes after making 2 tiny mistakes that were very, very, very crucial for this race. And now you can see as we're on the final chicane, I'm very, very hard on brakes. I'm trying to make as much time as possible, but it's not it. I'm just gonna have to watch the win being taken away from me. And now as we go through the straight, you can see the Ferrari behind making very big mistake, losing in P4 or 5. And now I finished the race in P2. A little pissed as the button clicking can tell. Now, on to the next race. Starting the race in P1 again, and again with the same driver behind me. It seems like he's changed the car from the Ferrari to the Citroën, which is more stable than the Ferrari. It's way more stable than the Ferrari, but I wouldn't say faster. I would say he made quite a big mistake, because it's not a fast car in my opinion. It's an old people car. And now as the clock starts ticking and the cars line up, it's lights out and away we go. Again, being the lead car, looking behind to see the Ferrari. This time, again, very far behind on this track, which usually the cars are closer, but I don't know why on this track, especially the cars between P1 and P2 are quite spread apart, because I've done this race and I've started in multiple positions, including P3 and 4 and 6, which the cars does not seem to be as far as P1 and 2, which is quite weird to me, but it is what it is. And you can see the Citroën trying to push me on lap 1, but it's not close enough. It's not anywhere close to be any sort of threat to me. And you can see that's why I think the Citroën is just a much slower car, because despite it being super stable in this section, which requires a bit of stability and smart management, he is not fast by any means. And you can see he's keeping up with me and being quite a distance bad. But you can see him getting closer and then backing off, and then getting closer and then backing off. And that's the thing. I think the Citroën is very sensitive when it comes to aerodynamical elements, but I am unsure about that, so don't take my word for it. And now we round out the final corner for lap 1, starting lap 2. You can see the Citroën is pretty much gonna slipstream down, and I can see the Citroën is, I think it's a very good car when it comes to slipstreaming, because I think it's more aerodynamical than other cars. But again, don't take my word for it, I could be wrong. And you can see the French driver being very, very, very close to turn 1, and this will have me going defensive on turn 2. But turn 2 is not a corner you want to defend the inside in, because again, it's a left, right corner, which is an interesting set of chicanes. It's a double chicane. Now I know what to call it. It ends up with me getting a penalty after running over one of the curbs a bit too hard. So I skip, I serve the penalty, and now you can see another driver, because the Citroën is just slow. Now you got the S15, which is a very fast car, very stable, and it's got incredible top speed. I think the fastest in the game when it comes to Group 4 cars. You can see the Silvia driver mounting up the pressure, getting very, very close. He's getting up close and personal and ready to get his hands very dirty. And you can see he's rubbing elbows left and right, and he pulls up beside me, and you can see the top speed of the S15 is quite there, and as I run into him by mistake, not knowing he's there. But anyway, I think that S15 is probably the fastest car when it comes to outright top speed, but don't take my word for it, I am unsure, because there is a lot of cars, so there could be a car that nobody uses because it's just that bad. And now pulling up alongside the S15, tiny bit of contact, but getting very, very close through this very technical section, which is quite difficult to fight on. So I let him have the lead momentarily here, but I clutched back everything, or made a tiny mistake which didn't help me on the exit. So now I'm pretty much gonna sit behind him for once more. And now I make a tiny mistake, going a little soft on the brakes. It seems that as of the little of contact that gave me advantage, which gave me the lead, which usually I would go that fast, but the other cars are not as good as McLaren in this section, so I did run up into other drivers and having similar occasions to this, but that just proves the speed of the McLaren in that specific section of corners. Anyway, skipping for the final lap, and you can see very smooth transition again. No fighting happened, as it just kept expanding the gap and expanding it a lot. So I finished the race in P1 finally.